Hello, everybody. I'm Mrs. Wilson, the principal of Star Academy, and I am here with Dr. Wood, making this recording for you, for people who could not join us last night for back to school night.
Hi there. As Mrs. Wilson said, my name is Dr. Wood, or Joe Wood. I'm Natomas Charter School's Executive Director. I also happen to be a parent. I have a senior who is attending the Performing and Fine Arts Academy, but he was previously a Star Academy student. So I've been in your very shoes before.
Very good. As I have too. My kids are all grown up, and they are 29 and 27 and 25. One of them is expecting a baby in the fall, but they all went to charter schools, and I've been in your shoes as well. So we're coming at you right now with the lens of being a parent and passing on some lessons that we have learned.
So with that, I'm actually going to bring up our slides. So let me bring them up here and share them. Let's see here. And so there's our slides. Oop, and we're a little ahead of the game here. So let me back up here just a second. All right. Mrs. Wilson and I were sort of laughing. We haven't had to do this since COVID time. So we're a little rusty in doing our recording. So hopefully this works out smoothly for everyone. So yes, tonight, or last night, I should say, and now this morning, what we are talking about is a partnership for success at Natomas Charter School, and specifically at Star Academy. So I mentioned that I have a senior. Having a senior in your house is a very weird experience, because on one hand, you're kind of excited to see them, grow up and move on, but then you're also kind of wondering, are they going to remember to brush their teeth? And sometimes you get to have those emotions at the same time. But I saw this quote, and it reminded me that, this is the work that we do, whether as parents or as educators, that, when your kid is 18, finishing high school, whether they're going to go into the military, they go off to college, or they're going into the workforce, healthy birds leave the nest. And helping your little bird get healthy starts right now. It starts when they're TK or kinder. It continues as they go to elementary school into middle school, because believe it or not, they don't just magically go from 11th to 12th grade and suddenly are mature and functional adults. We have to sort of mentor them along the way. At Natomas Charter School, we're one of the oldest charter schools in California. We're 33 years old, and we have a long history of really strong results. And that goes back to our parents in many ways. And so our school was founded on three principles, or three pillars, we refer to them. One, students first. So we always make our decisions with students in mind. The second one, innovation. How do we do things to better serve kids? What tweaks, what adjustments do we need to make? And accountability. And accountability here isn't like you're in trouble because you didn't do something. Accountability here is if you see a problem, you sort of own it, you do something about it, and you have an attitude that we're going to change and we're going to modify. And even tonight's presentation is kind of about that. Mrs. Wilson and I were noticing that, some of our families from the past weren't 100% sure what it was like to be in a Natomas Charter School family. And so we talked a little bit about putting together this presentation kind of through that idea of how do we better serve kids, how do we innovate, and how are we accountable? Also at Natomas Charter School, we believe that learning is a guarantee. Some schools or districts might kind of have the philosophy that, hey, if you show up, it's your responsibility to learn. That's not our philosophy. Our philosophy is that we're all going to work together as educators. And when I use the word educators, that's teachers, paraprofessionals, special education staff, administrators, and you, parents. We're all going to work together as educators to support our kids and make sure they make at least 1 year's worth of growth every single school year. You'll notice as you're on our campuses this year, you'll see these posters up. They say excelling together, every educator, every student, every day. And as I mentioned, you are your child's first educator. When they first came into your life, you were the first person that really interacted with them and taught them about the world and, very important things like kindness and respect and how we care for each other, but also more academic skills, basic letters and numbers and sounds and how we read words and those types of things. And so we really strongly believe that when we talk about educators, that is every single adult that is in a child's life. Natomas Charter School was also founded on something that we refer to as the three-way compact. This is the idea that to, accelerate student learning and make sure that every student is that healthy bird that can leave the nest, the school, the family, and the student really have to work together in a three-way partnership. And so, our commitment is that we're always going to have the highest quality curriculum and instruction we can possibly have in a very highly supportive campus environment. But we ask families to be involved as well, whether that's through academic and social emotional support, ensuring you have positive collaborative relationships with your child's teachers, and supporting regular school attendance. And the students have a responsibility too, even when they're as young as TK or kinder, right? They need to come to school on time. They need to work as hard as they can and show kindness and respect to all of the other students and adults that are on campus. And just as kind of one example of why the three-way compact is so important is that if you think of all of the minutes that a student is alive in a given calendar year, they're only at school about 14, 15% of those minutes. They spend a significant chunk of time asleep, and don't discount sleep. If a kid does not get a good night's sleep, they are not ready to learn. And so sleep is a very important part of the day. But so are things like breaks and weekends. What are we doing over Christmas break? What are we doing, during the summer? What are we doing on the weekends? And even our morning and afternoon routines, those are really great times to reinforce social skills. Maybe students are involved in extracurriculars like soccer and stuff. And so, we believe strongly as a school that we will make the 14, 15% of those minutes as amazing as they possibly can be. But the other pieces in a child's life are equally as important. One example of this is this year, you'll probably see in your weekly updates information about signing up for rec soccer or Little League or something like that. And it's not because we get a kickback. We don't get a kickback from North and Thomas Little League, but it's because, both Mrs. Wilson and I and all of our leadership team are educators that are also parents. We believe really strongly that things like being involved in rec soccer or football or baseball are important to a child's development. And we hope that, your children have that opportunity to participate in that after school. Another way that we sort of look at it is by data. And so, attendance is actually the simplest and maybe the most important thing that a family can do in terms of really supporting student learning. The graphs that you see here, these are our CASP, or our standardized assessment results for last school year, disaggregated by attendance rates. So the purple bars are students who missed 0 to 3 days of school last year. That actually makes up about 50% of our student population. The blue bars missed 4 to 6 days. The green bars missed 7 to 9 days, and so on, all the way down to the red bars, which are students who are chronically absent. And students who are chronically absent by the state of California's definition have missed more than 10% of the year. And so just looking at those bars, you can see it doesn't matter whether we're talking about math or English language arts, students who regularly attend school do significantly better than those who have absences. Now, I want to be clear, if your child's sick, please keep them home. Sick children need to stay home so their bodies can rest and they can get better. Also, sick children tend to make other children sick, so we don't want that to happen. But, as I joked about last night, if you see a deal on a lift ticket at Sugar Bowl on some Friday, you're going to say no, because coming to school on Friday is really important. Also, if you're going to be taking an extended vacation, we ask that you do that over the breaks that we have. And if you absolutely have to be gone during school time, that you're taking advantage of short-term independent study. But I do want to be clear, while short-term independent study ensures that students don't have learning loss, it doesn't replace the learning that they would get from a credentialed teacher in a classroom. So really, regular school attendance is so critically important. So in terms of how we're asking all families across Natoma Charter School to work together as a team this year, it really comes down to three things. First, connection. Get to know your child's teacher. They are your educational partner. They are the ones that are working with you and your children about the things that they're learning this year. And get to know them, in terms of how you can best support them. A lot of teachers also love things like thank you cards or a thank you email, right? So just really get to know them and connect with them. Also connect with other families. We want you to be part of our campus community. Last night at Back to School Night, both our NOVAS group and our NAIF group, which is the Natomas Arts and Education Foundation, they had a table set up and they're looking for volunteers to join some of the different activities that we have on campus, whether that's Fall Festival, Multicultural Festival, etc. We encourage you to always send positive messages about school and all subject areas. I know as adults, we all have subjects that we didn't love when we were in K-12 school, but we ask you to fake it till you make it. So even if math wasn't your favorite subject, tell your kids, I loved math, because that really reinforces the learning that we have on campus. The second area is contributions or contribute. We really ask that you help your students limit the amount of screen time when they are at home. It is so abundantly obvious on a Monday morning when a student has spent the entire weekend on their iPad. I've seen children literally rocking in a corner going through digital withdrawals. It's real. It's not just a joke or a social media meme. It's a real thing. And so we understand that we live in a digital world and kids are going to access devices. Zero access, I think, is unrealistic, but we really ask families to engage in thoughtful access and make sure that your kids are doing things like going outdoors or playing in the backyard or building Legos with a sibling, something like that, because that really reinforces learning on campus. Additionally, establishing norms and routines. If there's one thing I could go back in time and tell myself from 10 years ago, is that my child should have done chores much earlier in their life. And those norms and routines are really important. They build lifelong skills and they help students be successful at school, because we ask them to have norms and routines in our classroom. And if there's similar norms and routines at home, it makes both areas work better. Finally, homework is important, but even, beyond just doing regular homework, getting students engaged in independent reading and math. And Mrs. Wilson will be talking a little bit about some math games that we gave out at back to school night, and we'll have extras in the office. But that would be a perfect example of making sure that you're playing math games regularly with your kids or engaging in independent reading. And the last part is championing our school. We have a 33-year history of strong results because there have been engaged families in our schools for 33 years. If all the families stop being engaged, our school will not be as strong as it currently is. So, volunteering matters. And especially if you're a kinder TK parent and you're coming into our school kind of at the beginning of your child's career, realize right now our NOVA's board or our NOVA's group that helps organize all the activities, they're largely 4th and 5th grade parents. And while they love Star Academy, when their kids go on to middle school, they're not going to continue to be on the NOVA's board. So we need you to be involved. And then finally, always assume positive intent. As a parent, I'm going to tell you over my, 12 years of being part of K-12 education, I definitely have heard some colorful stories from my child coming home. But none of those stories have been actually what he told me. There was always more to the story. And so, if you hear something that's concerning, or maybe some kids are being mean to your child, something along those lines, assume that there's probably more to the story. Reach out to the adult because we really want to help and try to resolve the problem. But there's probably more to the story, and we can work together to resolve that. And just in closing, as a parent, I know parenting is one of the most joyful and overwhelming things that we engage in as human beings. And so what I shared with the audience last night is these are 4 resources that, at least for me as a parent, were really helpful. They're all books. They're all older books. So you can probably find them for like $5 on Amazon. But the first one is How to Raise an Adult by Julie Lycott-Hames. She's actually a former Stanford educator and admissions officer, and really talks a lot about how you support your kids while also kind of setting them free. The teenage brain. Yeah, I'm going to be real. Like, having a teenager in the house is the most difficult part of parenting. So really kind of getting ready for that. Parenting with Love and Logic. This is actually a parenting approach that works well with all grade levels, but especially elementary, and is very much aligned with PBIS, which is our disciplinary practices that we use on campus. And the last one, Rescuing Our Sons. This is actually a book that I came across this summer. But if you look at outcomes for boys versus girls, boys in the United States are not doing as well as girls. And so this particular researcher talks about some of the supports that we can put in place for boys. So if you happen to have a son in your family, it's also a really great resource as well. So with that, I'm actually going to hand it over to Mrs. Wilson. So I'm going to Mrs. Wilson, you just let me know when you want me to advance slides since it's going through my computer.
Okay, great. Thank you. So this part is how can you specifically support your child at STAR to ensure their success? And the first part is, just as Dr. Wood was saying, partnerships with teachers. Teachers and parent partnerships are highly effective when they are healthy and done really well. So you already, attended back to school night, which is great. And you're already watching this video. So thank you for staying informed with our school. Please attend conferences. We have a whole week of minimum days at the end of October reserved for you to come in and meet your child's teacher, where you can learn all about how your child is doing and form that strong partnership with your child's teacher. And if you have any concerns at all, I would encourage you to reach out to your child's teacher to arrange for a conference time. A face-to-face meetup is often just really highly effective to be able to just have a conversation when you have a concern. And that belongs directly with your child's teacher. And as Dr. Wood was saying, please presume professional expertise and positive intentions. We, as educators, we are here because we love children and we want to see them excel. And you have the same goals as a parent. So we all want the same thing. We all want all of our students to be successful. We just might disagree once in a while on how to get there. So please be open to the conversation and our expertise. And also know that there's always multiple sides to a situation. As Dr. Wood was saying about his son, my kids also came home with very colorful stories about what happened at school. And they used to get a little upset with me because would say, like, well, you always take the teacher's side. And it's like, well, no, I'm on your side, but I also know that I'm only getting one side. So definitely work with us there to know that, and to, give us some grace and take the time to come talk to us, definitely. And think long-term partnerships. Those of you that are in TK and kindergarten right now, we have a lot of years together. And when your child gets to 5th grade promotion, I want you to be able to look at all the teachers and staff that you had throughout the years and just have fond memories of everything we went through to get your child to that point. And what else? That's about it. I think you can turn the slide. Thank you. We have a teacher on special assignment here. Her name's Courtney Selby. She's also a STAR parent, and she has taken the time with her teaching and learning department to develop math kits for every single student here at STAR Academy. If your student is in TK to second grade, those kits are in the white little pouches, and if they are in third through fifth grade, they are red pouches, and they are full of dice and cards. And those cards that you see kind of fanned out there, a bunch of games with the directions for you to use. And we would much rather have you do this than be online on iReady or something at home. Kids will have fond memories of math if they're playing math games with you. They will embrace it and they will do well. And it's really that fluency piece that we're seeing our upper grades struggle with, and meaning our middle and high school students. As math gets more and more complicated, they need that math fluency. So take your games home and enjoy the fun.
Can I add one little pro tip that I forgot to mention last night, is that these are purposely designed to fit easily, like in a travel bag or a purse or a pocket. And to take this when you go to a restaurant and you're waiting for food to come to your table. I mean, Mrs. Wilson, I don't know if your kids were like my son, but that could be the longest, most painful 15, 20 minutes while we had to wait for food when we were a little hangry. And at least in our family, some math games, whether it was a little bit of a game of 21 or some Yahtzee, was a great way to sort of kill the time, but also build some math fluency skills at the same time. So.
Definitely. Thank you. And then ways to support reading at home, save some space and time for reading with your children. Read together and out loud together, like a book club. It can be a lot of fun. Again, it's time with you, a special time with you that will bring books alive for your kids. Practice some sight words, kind of treat it like a book club, like I read a page, you read a page, and then we can talk about it. Helps check in for comprehension. And then our library is open to parents as well. You can come in anytime and check out some books. Well, not anytime. You'll have to wait until the kids aren't in the library, but definitely come in and check the books out. Sacramento has some great libraries as well. So it just makes that time and space for reading. All right. We are a kindness certified school. Miss Hines, who is our associate principal, used to also be our counselor. And she made sure that she started the Kind Kids Club. And we spend a lot of time teaching our students to be respectful and kind to each other. And I am asking that of our parent community too, as well. We have a few stressful times during the day. I know arrival can be stressful for you as families. You're trying to get to work. You're trying to get your children to school. And dismissal also, we're trying to pick up quickly. So if you could please follow directions of all the staff, be kind and respectful, and model that for your students. And also be aware of your surroundings and maybe stay off those phones, or at least the texting part. We've had some near misses in our parking lot. And honestly, the safest way to drop off your children at STAR is to go through the driveway in the car and let us open the door for your kids and get them out right on the sidewalk. So asking for that, and just be respectful and polite and professional in all your interactions with our staff. They are working hard to ensure that all students are safe and are learning here at school. Oh, behavior. Always fun to talk about. I could tell you stories with my kids, what they got into at school, but I'll save that for another time. But behavior is, can be difficult. Kids make mistakes, right? Our kids at STAR Academy are 4 years old all the way to 10 years old. 10, 11 years old are our oldest kids, and they will make mistakes. And our associate principal, Ms. Hines, does an excellent job of looking into behavior, and it's the layers of the onion. The story, that gets to you initially is not the story that you end with after you've talked to about, between 2 and 15 students sometimes. And we work really hard to ensure that we are getting the whole story, that we're not making assumptions about student behavior. And our intention with looking into behavior is to teach children how to behave appropriately so they can be successful at school and so they can have friendships at school. So that is our goal. Our goal is to get kids back in class. Our goal is also to partner with you to help with that teaching, right? We want our kids, like Dr. Wood was saying, healthy birds leave the nest, and healthy birds know how to behave appropriately in a myriad of situations. And that all starts in elementary school. So please know that it's not about being in trouble or trying to get a kid out of trouble. It's just about teaching them how to do things correctly so that they are successful here at school. All right, Novas, our Novas group, it stands for Network of Volunteers at STAR. And our Novas leadership right now are all 4th and 5th grade parents. And they do an amazing job. You'll see with all of our events this year will be outstanding, as they always are. However, they are leaving in a year and 2 years. so our 5th grade parents are leaving this year. Our 4th grade parents are leaving the year after this year. So we really need to start having more families of students in younger grades join our Novas leadership so that we can ensure these great events and festivities continue for years to come. This is the perfect year to shadow one of our leaders in one of our events. Like our fall festival has 2 coordinators, and they would love to have you shadow them so that you can learn the ropes. And that goes for all of our events this year. So I highly encourage you to do that. We had about 100 volunteers get fingerprinted yesterday evening, and the packets are still for sale in our office if you want to complete that process. But we would love to have you join us and just be a part of our wonderful community.
I just like to say thank you to the 100 people who went through the volunteer process last night. You know, making sure that you're a fingerprinted volunteer really helps to make the activities that we have on our campus so special, whether it's field trips or events. We could not do it without you. So thank you.
All right. We also have the Natomas Arts and Education Foundation, which you will see at all of our events. And they are a holding account for the donations that do come in at STAR. So you'll see their name used a lot in regards to that. And they are also responsible for the larger fundraising for all of NCS. They distribute grants for teachers. They have scholarships for students. They support events in our overall Natomas community. And they also sponsor events throughout the year. So definitely support them if you can. And we will be running tomorrow at Race for the Arts to support NAEF. All right. And one of the last things is please take time to read communication. It comes out weekly from your classroom teachers. They send it weekly, usually on the same day. So it lets you know what the kids are learning, any upcoming events that they have in their classrooms. And then we also publish communication from our office once a week as well. So please make time to keep up with that. And please know our communication systems are linked to PowerSchool. So it's so important that if you change email addresses or addresses or whatnot, that you go into your parent portal and you change that for us so that you're kept up to date with everything that's going on at STAR and with our NCS community.
And one little pro tip just to add, having been the former technology director, is that sometimes your email client, whether it's Gmail, Yahoo, AT&T, you name it, it'll just decide one day mass emails are spam. And if you realize it's, Friday and you haven't seen the weekly email, always just check your spam folder. Probably it's over there, and you have to retrain your email client. It's not really spam. But like Mrs. Wilson said, if you ever having significant difficulties you can't figure out, or you change your email address, let the office know so that we can make sure we get things figured out for you.
Yes, that's making me laugh because I'll send a copy to myself, which my Gmail sometimes puts into spam.
It happens.
Yeah. It's like, no, I did that. All right. And then one last thing I need to let you know about. Last year we had Spanish instruction, which we have had, I think, for the last 9 years here at Star Academy. And Senora Kwan retired last year. So she left our school, and actually she sent in a couple of nice notes for us already. So she's, you'll probably see her around volunteering. But for specialists this year, we have art, library, mindfulness, music and performing arts, and PE. And then we still have Walking Wednesday, but we decided to reallocate the funds used for our Spanish teacher to a greater need that we see at Star Academy, which is a lot of up and coming and new teachers to NCS, especially to Star. So we have a position that we added this year. A teacher on special assignment, Miss Jackie Scholl, is our instructional coach. So she pushes in the classrooms and she coaches our teachers, and she is phenomenal at this. She did a lot of it last year. In addition to her teaching position, she just really brings out the best in everyone, and we're super excited to have her. So we won't be having Spanish, but we've added this other position. So I think you'll see some great positive results in the classroom from her being on our staff this year. And I guess that's the end because you're not going to the sessions now because they're over.
Yeah, this is the slides from last night. I guess, Mrs. Wilson, a question that I had
Mhm.
that maybe some parents might have is if they, maybe because of work or some other commitment couldn't come to back to school night last night. There we go. And we're unable to, get the information from their child's teacher. Are the slides going to be shared somehow? Should they check email? What are we doing there?
Yes, in the class updates that are coming home either today or that we have a couple grade levels that do them on Monday, they're linking their presentations in their weekly communication. So you can find it there. And I'm hoping to link this in our family update today. But yeah, look for those updates and they should be there. And the teachers have a teacher website that's also posted on our Star Academy website. So you can also go there to find everything you need.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you all for watching our video. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Mrs. Wilson or, of course, me. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.